Welcome to the brush. I'm carrying on with the Imperial Manticore conversion, and we've painted in the metallics, we've got the armour done, and what we need to do now is we need to try and weather up and age this lead belcher that we put on in the last video and make it fit in with the rest of the model. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got some Lahmian medium in my palette already, and I'm going to take quite a bit of this Ratling grime contrast paint that I'm quite fond of. I'm going to make up a slightly darker mix than last time. It's still thinner as I've mixed it with some medium, try and knock some of the shine out of it. And what I'm going to do, this hasn't got a lot more metallic parts on it that I need to worry about right at this minute. I just want to get the larger pieces done, so I'm going to literally paint in as carefully as I can the top of these panels. I particularly want to get this colour more in the grooves than anywhere else, so I do want this quite dark. So I'm filled in the grooves. I'll now try and fill out some of the rest of it. Drag the brush around the deepest recess. So that's the top part done. For the bottom part, I'm going to start at the other end. Just going to try and catch this panel to start with, where it meets the grating. Part we're going to have to come back to afterwards anyway, so we'll be a little bit premature doing this now. We should have maybe have painted that in first, but it won't matter. So first of all, I'll paint in the cog section. Literally trying to poke the paint around, wick away the excess and use that to drive into the recesses rather than constantly reloading the brush. So it's about trying to keep that wet edge so you don't get too many sort of, where the paint starts to dry it will tear. You'll get anomalies, you'll get overspill. We'd rather try and avoid some of those problems that you can get with contrast. There's advantages and disadvantages to all the paints that we use. Each has their strengths and weaknesses, and it's about trying to play to them whilst minimising those weaknesses. One of the reasons I particularly like this stuff is it's not black, it's an off dark brown with a hint of maybe a bit of green or something in it, and at the same time the other thing that's really quite nice about it is it's thin enough that it's got a good flow ability. You can load a brush and pull it along a surface and it will follow your brush. You're not worrying about having missed a bit, so I can come in literally not worry too much about the precision of my brush and drag it along the edges, and it will give us a reasonable panel line. Just want to try and paint the flatter sections. Now this piece doesn't matter too much because that big bulbous turret is going to be sitting on top of it. We've picked out a lot of the recesses there, and that's going to help move things along, so I can leave that to one side. I think I'm going to tackle this shoulder piece first. So I will start with the top of it. trying to get paint to the recesses on this side of where I can see it. I'm not going to worry about the other side of it at the moment, just this particular angle. If I move quick enough, I won't worry about a bleeding edge or anything. And by that I mean the paint won't have started to dry before I come back and tackle the other side. So now that I've done it that way, I'll come in and the same bits that I've just done facing the other way, I'll come in and attack from the other side. And in more complicated parts like this, where I've only been able to get one face of it, I'll then turn it and try and tackle the inner face again to try and reduce the likelihood of these bleed lines where paint has already started to cure. We don't want that happening. We don't want sort of to double dip certain parts and not got any on other bits. We want to try and get as uniform a coverage as we can. So having gone up that far, I've got a little bit of run to cater with. Maybe we didn't get that knot. Real quick we can come back. So just make sure I've got all of that edge. It's getting some pulling because it's starting to dry. Having done that face, I'm just going to quickly coat the screens and the surrounding bits. So, right, having done that, I can get the underside before it dries. And doing it this way in a thinner layer, I can always come back in once this is dry and darken up other bits if I need to. I'd rather do that than end up with large runs of paint or gatherings of paint where I don't want it. So done round that side. Very quickly, just do the edge. Don't need to be neat because the other part of it is going to be a different colour on the inside, so all we're worried about is picking out the detail, and this may yet get under further ink wash yet. And on that we've just got the cog to do. Again, we don't have to be fabulously neat. One, this is on an inner face, and two, it's mechanical gear, it's going to have dirt and grime around it, it's not going to look clean. Even out the factory it wouldn't look clean. So we can leave that piece to dry and prop it up somewhere. Hopefully it doesn't fall on the tank. It'll do. And then the largest piece. The way I'm going to handle this first is I'm going to do this portion of the gun face, this little piece, then move around to the side, do all of this lower section, and come up the stem and leave the ball separately. It will go the same colour, but I can use this as a handle to actually manipulate the piece around, so I'll leave that to dry or to paint till last, and probably paint it after the rest of it's dried. So I'm not really worried about painting the missiles themselves, I just want this housing at the back. got a little bit of excess pool in there we need to take away. Use that, try and use what I can elsewhere. So we've got that piece in. As I said, move around to the side. Now I'm not going to worry about this front trim, that's going to be gold. So it's now onto the side. And just so that I don't get any splatter with this, I'm going to move the tank further away. So recognising that the paint is flicking about a little bit. Around it. There will be bits of this we can't really get to very easily, just because of the way I've had to assemble it. And we won't worry too much about that, because if we can't get to it, the chances are it can't be seen anyway. But there are a couple of bits we do need to make sure we're taken care of. Very bottom plate. Try and come into it and get to all the hidden recesses that we can't see, just for completeness. Again, just making sure we've got the edge. We got this part under here to get in. And see through to the other side. The gun deck. And I will be doing a video talking about this issue at a later date. The problem of why you should sub-assembly, and the reason is because if you don't, there will be bits that you cannot get to, you just physically cannot paint. Let's get this bit done first. vents in first. Right, onto the stem, same process, just try and get as much coverage as we can. I managed to mostly avoid getting it on any of the other parts, so far we're doing well. Last little bit. So we've just got the ball on top to finish now. So that's us darkening down the metallics, and I shall be back in the next video.